All right, welcome back to the D&J Podcast. I am your host, Dillon, and to with me on this call, co-host,
Jacob DeGrom.
of course, the one and only. Now you may be asking, isn't Jacob DeGrom like white and like totally a lot better at pitching? And my answer to you is, shut up. Anyway, thank you to the 10 listeners who decided to tune in, and hopefully we get the same amount roughly, depending.
Everybody just hates us and we get like half of this thing.
But if you missed the last one, we talked about the Black Lives Matter movement and the nuances around that, since that was and still is a big topic going around. Black lives still matter and they always will. But we're going on a bit of a lighter topic today. Well, not even a bit. A very lighter topic today. Like, our topic today is our top 5 basketball players of all time. If you know anything about Justin and I, you know that we are avid sports fans, particularly basketball fans. So,
before we continue, I just want to say that it's not the top 5 best all time. It's just our personal favorites.
Indeed. Like, so I know for me personally, you're not going to see a Michael Jordan. You're not going to see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because we were born in 2003. So these are players that either we look back on their game and it's like, wow, they're really good, or just people that mean a lot to us. So before we get started with the 5, we both have honorable mentions. I'll start with one of mine. First honorable mention, we have Manu Ginobili. Like, Manu Ginobili was just great player. I love how he was flashy, yet he was still fundamental at the same time. Like, had a deadly Euro step and was honestly just an integral piece to that Spurs roster that won, 4 championships with him? So, that is my honorable mention.
Okay, to start off, I'd have to go with Steve Novak. Growing up in Bay, which is very depressing. There's not much to really celebrate with that team or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my most fond memories is always just seeing Steve Novak hit a 3 for us and then do the championship belt celebration, honestly. It's like...
Yeah, Steve Novak is
life to the Garden. As sad as that is.
Like, he's not on my list, but shoot. He is. He did bring us some fond memories as New York Knicks fans. And another honorable mention of mine, Chris Paul. Like, honestly, Chris Paul is just the perfect. It's exactly what you want out of a point guard. Like, he can handle the ball. Playmaker IQ is crazy. Like, he's just a really solid player. It's a shame when he went down in the 2018 Western Conference Finals, because I truly believe they would have beat the Warriors. But being that, the Rockets kind of lost in 2019 with no KD, didn't even win a game, kind of struggling on that front. But shoot, either way.
Technical difficulties, because it dropped on my end, so I just had to rejoin. So whatever you said, I didn't hear.
Oh, I was just saying that my second honorable mention was Chris Paul, because great point, like just the definition of a top level point guard. Like, he has anything that you would need. Great shot creation, playmaking, can defend, give you 20 and 10 on any given night. It's a shame he didn't win a title, or at least make the finals, because he's such a good complementary piece. But shoot, that is my second honorable mention.
Shoot, my next one, I wouldn't say it's really a weird one, but I'd have to go with Tracy McGrady.
Wait, so Steve Novak isn't a weird one, but Tracy McGrady is?
They're both kind of weird ones, but it's weird for me because I didn't really watch Tracy McGrady play all that much. Like, I probably caught a bit of the end of him in Houston. So I never really got to see, like, Magic, T-Mac, and early on in the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
But just going back and even just watching some of his highlights have me just like, dang. He really just was a bucket.
One of the best in the game.
And I just wish his career could have went a little differently. Because, injuries never even made out the first round?
Right.
You get a chance to play with Grant Hill. It's just the whole thing of... I'd say he's probably one of, if not the biggest, what if in NBA history.
Definitely. The shame that injuries took it, or if Tim Duncan had joined the Magic, what would have happened? But shoot.
Yeah, but shoot.
All right, let's actually get into this. My number 5.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Let's get into it. My number 5, Dirk Nowitzki. I am not that big of a Mavericks fan. Well, I'm not a Mavericks fan at all. But for one, love the one-legged fadeaway. Like, I would always try to recreate that in my backyard. I thought it was like, it's damn near unblockable at this rate. And just for the fact that he was a big man that revolutionized the game, big man that can shoot, especially in the era that he was in his prime in, it's honestly just crazy. And the fact that he was just a lovable guy, like he's just a big goof. Like, have you ever seen them commercials where it's like, it's some really bad acting, but just because he's such a big goof?
I remember seeing a thing where Dirk was supposed to be rapping. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
He's such a goofball and such a character, but I love his play. I just like everything about him. Dirk is just a great guy, but because I don't have too much emotional connection, he just lands at my number 5.
Okay, well, shoot. My number 5, I think he's probably in everybody's top 5 that was born after the year 2000. But I'd have to say Kobe. Like, I won't even lie. I didn't love watching him play when I was younger. And it just had to do with the fact that me and my dad were kind of on like opposite ends with this stuff because I was heavy into being a Knicks fan and he was heavy into being a Lakers fan. And I guess at my age, I always just like, oh, nah, that's your favorite sports team? I've got to hate that guy now. But he was somebody that, as I grew older, I came to appreciate more for the talent that he was. And shoot, even though I wouldn't say I despised Kobe at the time, even though I really didn't like him when I was younger, he was still the first jersey I ever got. It's probably still sitting up in the room somewhere, but yeah, that was the first jersey I ever got. It was this Lakers Kobe jersey.
Was it the 24 or was it the 8?
24.
Yeah, I grew to appreciate Kobe too. He's just not on my favorite because while I was younger and getting into basketball, he was a lot older at the time, so I couldn't really appreciate. But to say he's just one of the hardest working players that basketball has ever seen. Probably the closest that we've gotten to Mike in terms of play style. And shoot, not to say that this would have affected his ranking, but his death just hit everybody. Him and his daughter's death just hit everybody hard. Like, that's the hardest I've cried in a while, especially if it's somebody who's not even related to me.
It's like, Kobe just got the emotions out of you. Well, out of all of us, really.
And it really is sad because he was really becoming a great father and just a great advocate for women's basketball around the world. So, gone too soon.
At the end of the day, nothing you can do about that one, but we'll all remember him for however long.
Shoot, let's switch it up and you give me your number 4. Like, give me the back-to-back rundown.
My fault. Somebody just texted me. Shoot. Number 4. This is going like... this is straying so far away from Kobe that it doesn't even make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd go with J.R. Smith. Because, like, you're going to notice a trend of a lot of, like, Lakers and stuff like that. Not Lakers. A bunch of, like, Lakers and Knicks and all that other stuff. And I don't know why, but I always found J.R. Smith to just be the most entertaining role player ever. Because he was either just taking the dumbest shots possible and just making those, or he would come out with just the most flashy dunk I'd ever seen from somebody who wasn't like Vince Carter or shit on LeBron's level, really. So it was a whole thing of, even though, yeah, he wasn't, you know, the best player or the smartest, because I think we all remember the finals.
Yeah, not by any stretch.
It was just, I found him so entertaining to watch because you really just didn't know what to expect from JR on any given night.
Yeah, that's really the thing. He's so hot and cold when it comes. Because, like, one time he'll give you, like, 18 points with 6 threes. And then the next he's just chucking up, like, I don't know, 3 of 8. And it's like... And I swear, I remember... not watching. Because I was kind of in tune with the 2018 finals. But I'm like, you know what? I'm finna go to sleep. Like, this is... At that point, it was, like, what, the 4th time the Warriors and Cavs met? And... this was without Kyrie. So I'm like, yo, this is over. Not knowing that LeBron was going to do what he was doing. Knowing that JR would be, for lack of a better word, an idiot and just run the clock out when he could have put it back up.
Like, there was just so many ways that situation could have gone. Y'all could have called the TO. You could have passed it to LeBron. Anything.
Like, not to say that's... Go ahead, my fault.
Shoot. Had they won that game would be looked at as, like, Allen Iverson's game 1 against the Lakers, because it's just... the odds are stacked against LeBron so heavy in that just to get a game on them, obviously it's not legacy defining, because we all know what championship really defines. Well, yeah, I guess what 2, because 2011 does kind of also, but we know what championship really defines LeBron's legacy and why he's so high on most people's rankings.
Yeah. I was just about to say, like, even if they did win that game, it's not like it would have affected the series too much. Like, the Warriors was still getting that. That would have definitely been a shock for sure.
He was a man on a mission that year.
All right, let me go to my number 4. Similar to yours, but not really. We have Carmelo Anthony. Like, us growing up as Knicks fans, I'd say, like, the Knicks pre-2012, when Melo arrived in 2011, were not that good to my knowledge. Like, so just him coming to New York and just him being the star of the Knicks and bringing us some form of success. It was just fun to watch and fun to be a part of. And he was a bucket back in Denver, but he was just a real bucket when he was in New York. Like I remember I will always remember the Christmas game against the Bulls where he hit that shot to tie it into overtime and then legit hand right in his face, hit it over like Luau Dang to win it. Legendary.
Melo was on. Well, he was always on one, but jeez, I miss him in the Garden.
Yeah, or like when he dropped like 60 against the Bobcats.
Who didn't drop 60 against the Bobcats?
Like the Charlotte Bobcats are probably the worst team ever.
They won like 7 games on that lockout shortened year.
Which is crazy. But Melo, like I just love his scoring ability. Could he have been a better defender? Yeah, sure, but he was just that much of a bucket and so fun to watch. And with him being one of the defining people in New York sports, he has to land on this list for me.
Fair enough.
All right, I'm going to transition to my number 3. And for you, this is no surprise because I talk about him all the time. But Steve Nash, one of my favorite players of all time. And for me personally, I love D'Antoni's whole 7-second offense. I don't know when the first time I was exposed to it, but just in my mind thinking, yo, he really got, like, they really run an offense where they can get it up that quickly within 7 seconds. That's crazy. And Steve Nash was at the helm of that when he was in Phoenix. And it really is the fact that, one, he was such a good playmaker, especially a passer. I could watch Steve Nash pass the ball all day, every day. Like, it's a beautiful thing to watch. And also the fact that he was so efficient. Like, more so me because of the passing, because, like, I really am. I admire the point guard position because I feel like that's one of the hardest positions to run, especially once you're like, especially if you do it impressively. Like if you're just over here dishing out assists and still being able to create offense for yourself. But he's just one person that he's ideal. Like I would love Steve Nash to run my point guard position, just based off the fact that he was so efficient and just he could feed anybody. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, for my third spot, it's kind of in the same vein as Steve Nash. It's somebody you mentioned earlier. My third favorite of all time is Chris Paul. Though, I will kind of say he's more so on this list because my mom really got me into watching Chris Paul. Because I don't care what anybody says, she is like the biggest Chris Paul fan I've ever seen.
Shout out on Pete. No, me stop.
Anyway, but yeah. And I really didn't get exposed to Chris Paul until he was in LA. Mm-hmm. But just watching those Lob City Clippers teams was just so fun for me. Like, especially that one play where like Jamal Crawford like threw it between his legs off the backboard.
Griffin.
It's like just watching that team and waiting for a highlight like that to pop off was probably my favorite thing to do during the 2010s. And Chris Paul was a huge part of that. Yeah, he wasn't the one throwing down all the dunks and all of that stuff. But he was the one setting most of those things up because he's just such a phenomenal, passer, really.
Yeah, like he honestly is just a great player, and I didn't catch his New Orleans days, but I just know just from account of looking up the highlights and the stats, he was just nasty. Like I remember I watched some highlights and he nutmegged Jason Terry on a fast break, and he loved doing that. Just whoop, I'm gone. And I feel the nutmeg is low key an underrated thing. I have I mean, shoot, both him and Manu did that. Honestly, just whoop, I'm out of here. I'm gone, and then either pass it off or finish it. Like if you, like I said, if you're just looking for an exemplary point guard, Chris Paul is your guy.
Honestly, like, I just wish I got to see him when he played in New Orleans because I feel like that would have been something else. But shoot, I appreciate the Chris Paul I got to see anyway.
All right, what's your number two?
Especially before I go on, can we stop talking about how much he chokes in the playoffs? Because that's just a myth.
Yeah, he's not as bad as people paint him out to be.
Like, yes, he doesn't win there, but it's not because of him. I'd say most of the time. But transitioning into my top two, and I know for a fact my co-host over here knows who 1 and 2 are, just not the position.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I'm gonna go LeBron. Like, how long have I really been like a LeBron fan? I'm not even gonna lie. I wasn't really a LeBron fan until after he went back to Cleveland. That's when he kind of gained my respect by still going back to Cleveland after the way, I won't say they treated him, but after burning his jersey, all that letter from Dan Gilbert.
Yeah, that was just really dramatic.
And so that's where he gained my respect, and that's when I really started paying closer attention to just his game and all that other stuff. Because in Miami, who didn't hate Miami at that point, really, besides Heat fans? And obviously, LeBron was at the helm of that, so I was just like, F this guy,
Except at that point, you were probably like, what, 8? So you're like, man, I hate LeBron.
He dunked on Amari.
Yeah. When he baptized Jason.
So, and then I'll say this. Just watching him between, I want to say, 2016 to 2018 just really made me appreciate the talent that he really was, because that 2016 championship, I'd say, even though the finals itself outside of the game 7 really wasn't close, that is still the best finals I witnessed personally.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the story behind it and the block by LeBron, the shot by Kyrie. I just have so many moments in basketball that I care so much about due to LeBron. Like, oh, Ray Allen saved his career. Yes. Well, no, because LeBron set up that moment to happen. Just look at the game log.
And I feel like people do forget that a game 7 had to happen right after, which he did score almost 40 in. So,
and based on something I saw earlier, Bosh and Ray Allen didn't even score that game.
So
I digress.
Shoot, but I agree. LeBron he's the greatest basketball player that we've ever witnessed with our own 2 eyes. And who knows, maybe ever witness. Who knows?
And personally, This is, I guess, an unpopular opinion, but I do still have him as the greatest of all time, in my own opinion.
Yeah.
Don't care what anybody else thinks. If you say Michael Jordan, that's completely fine.
Yeah, that's where I stand. Like, it's reasonable, but if you're over here trying to tell me that I don't know, like some other player besides MJ or LeBron.
I could go for you saying MJ is the greatest. I can go for you saying LeBron is the greatest, because obviously that's where I lie with my opinion. And I can even understand Kareem. But my whole thing with it becomes, don't act like there's like a huge discrepancy between these players, or like it's unreasonable for somebody to have somebody else in that greatest of all time spot. Unless it's like Smush Parker.
Yeah, like I feel like those three are really the only reasonable number one picks for an all-time list. Right? Like anything else, I'm like, I just don't really see it. Like I just don't really see it. Anyway, my number 2 spot. I'm pretty sure you might know who this is based on what I talk about. But my number 2 favorite player of all time is Russell Westbrook. Like I remember I was a bit of a fan of the Thunder. Like I would root for them when they went up against Golden State, and we all know how that turned out. But shoot, honestly, just after KD left, and just seeing that monstrous season that Westbrook went on, I became an instant fan. Like honestly, because it was just so crazy to me, just how he essentially carried that team, whose second best player was Steven Adams, I'd like to say. Like,
yeah,
like that is honestly just such a deserved MVP. Even though Harden did do good, and I don't feel as bad because Harden still has an MVP regardless. But just watching that, seeing him get the MVP award at the end of the season, and one thing I always admired about Westbrook is, yes, he may not be the smartest in terms of IQ, but he will play his absolute heart out. Like he leaves everything on the floor regardless of what happens, and I find that very admirable. I try to adapt that. Well, let me not say lifestyle into my own life. Like just try as hard as you can and live with the results after. And I feel like that really helps me on a personal level. And I can just really just attach to Westbrook on just the fact that he just gives it his all. He won't ever win a ring. And as a fan, I understand that. But I love Brooke. I love Russ. What can I say? Oh, and also he's a funny ass nigga. If you've ever watched any of his post game interviews, just pure comedy.
What?
Like I'm out, man. Y'all niggas tripping.
Oh man. Now,
shoot.
bye.
Nah, hold up. Before you show me your number one, I'm gonna just get my number one out the way because you already said him. But
you said your number two. Oh, I thought that was your number one.
My number one is LeBron James, and for most of the same reasons that you said. Me personally, I like LeBron when he went to Miami. That's because I was like a little kid and didn't know any better. But shoot, I will always remember I bought some like LeBron Zoom Soldier whatevers, and they had like the little 24 on it, which didn't make any sense to me at the time. But when I grew older, I realized that it was a shout out to Ken Griffey. who's also like one of the greatest athletes of not of our time, but of all time. But I remember buying them, and when he lost in 2011, like I was really rooting for him to win in 2011, and he lost. That's like one of my earliest memories of being a basketball fan, just being sad that LeBron lost. And just seeing him go through the motions and seeing him win that 2016 title really was just a perfect story arc. Because as you said, just everything leading up to that point was crazy. I remember when he decided to go back, I was down in Florida, and he's like, yo, he's going back. And it was the return of a king. It was, and I could see how people say he's the greatest of all time. Like I said earlier, he's the greatest player I got to witness. And he just has so many moments. And shoot, one of the best LeBron moments I've witnessed is one, that 2018 playoff run. Because that is just peak, like just greatness. But two, when he torched Toronto in that same playoff run, I'm talking just dog them. I remember, like, I think it was game 2, just nothing but turnaround jumpers, and they did nothing about it. Like, the Air Canada Center was silent.
Yeah, I will always remember he brought the ball up court, was somewhere in the mid-range, and legit went up with one hand, tossed it up off the backboard and in. It's like, what? How do you even make something like that for game?
And that it looks so effortless too.
Like, that's one way to describe just LeBron playing in 2018. It was just, the game looks so easy to him, and I guess kind of is to him, really.
Or like in that same 2018 playoffs, in Game 7, where one, he blocked the ever-living crap out of Terry Rozier and just stood in the backcourt celebrating like a G. But also, that and one that he got at the end, where one of the Moyes twins tried to hold him down like on his back, and he just straight up yelled at the camera and be like, oh, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, God damn. Man is a GOAT.
There's no more I can say to that. He really is. Like, glad I got to witness it.
Same.
And now for my number one, and this is going to be just a very weird pick, but one that I will say proudly forever. And it really is Pau Gasol of all people. And I really started liking Pau for probably the dumbest reasons, because I don't remember which NBA Live it was, but my dad had bought, maybe it was 2009 or whatever, right? And I was playing the game, and it was like Lakers and Magic or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I only knew a few people. I knew Dwight Howard. I hadn't really seen much of LeBron at this point, believe it or not. But the two teams, well, I guess 3 teams in this case, I really knew were the Magic, because I think D12 was on the cover. Then it was the Lakers and the Knicks. And I decided this one time, instead of playing as the Knicks and going up against the Lakers, to play as the Lakers and go up against the Knicks or whatever. Maybe it was the Magic, whichever one. I can't remember. And I swear to you, Pau dropped like 136 points because I was playing on the easiest difficulty. And from that point on, I just thought he was the greatest basketball player to ever exist.
I can just imagine, like, just what would you be? A 6-year-old Justin be like, this is God. Like it's not Pau Gasol. It's Pau God. Nothing else.
Like, this is Pau Godsol. Like, oh my, like, it didn't matter if it was a post hook, a mid-range shot, he was hitting everything. And I'm just like, I love this man. And it's like, even though I wasn't the biggest Kobe fan at the time, evidently, seeing Pau Gasol win a championship was ironically one of my favorite childhood memories.
He's like, yes, the prophecy is fulfilled.
Like, it was just all because of NBA Live that I really just loved Pau Gasol. And since that time, he has always been just my favorite player ever.
That's funny.
And like, it's got nothing to do, well, not nothing to do with him in real life, but it didn't start from how he played in real life or whatever. It was just all because of a dumb video game.
Honestly. But shoot, that concludes our list. To all y'all 10 listeners out there, maybe we can get 11 for the one time. For the one time, you feel me? No, let me stop.
It's going to be 5 people watch.
They're not supposed to know. Anyway. Yeah, but leave some suggestions about what you guys want. Maybe like a story time. I know me and Justin have some intricate stories. Maybe you guys want a best friends cast about how the friendship has operated over time. Like, I don't know. Just leave suggestions. Like we're open to some, not all. Because watch someone be like, "Yo, talk about how you guys like do something weird." It's like, no.
Took them fishes. No.
No, fun story while we're still here. This is for you listeners that listen all the way through. Get that nice, hearty content for yourself. Fun fact, like legit, because me and Justin call on the phone all the time, like almost every day. But one time we decided, I think it popped up on one of our Instagrams, like a weird ass fetish or something. So we decided to take the liberty of searching up the weirdest fetishes, that like legit, just weirdest fetishes online. And when I tell you that was an eye-opening experience, boy howdy.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in there.
Like for instance, I remember one where it was like, oh, I don't remember the name, but it was like, oh, when you like getting pushed down a flight of stairs. I'm like, imagine. Like, just imagine.
Imagine that being what turns you on.
Like, just, oh, kiss me. Be like, oh, wow. Be like, now push me down a flight of stairs. Be like, okay. Like, that honestly is hilarious. Seems like we have some technical difficulties, people. Yep.
This thing sucks, and I just got kicked for a second time. So, what were you saying?
Nah, I was just saying, like, imagine if, just continue what you said, where it's like, yo, just imagine it's something like they're kissing, be like, what do you want me to do? Push me down the flight of grand piano stairs. You're like, okay.
Like, you don't want to like go out to Arby's?
like I can't take you to Applebee's or something.
We can't just have a nice time, no?
Like,
I don't know. People are weird.
Or like legit people like getting like shat on, which I find, who doesn't find that weird? Honestly.
We could have went this whole thing without breaking that up.
You know, we could
And
have.
everybody's lives would have went on just the same.
Like I said, this is for like the one listener who listens all the way through and doesn't check out like the first 10 minutes. This is for you. This is the quality content that we put out. Are we getting demonetized if
quality.
Are we getting demonetized if I put this on a streaming service? Like,
I mean, probably.
yeah, but I'm not making no bread
we're
off of. We're not making no bread off of this anyway.
Yeah, this is just something to do in the downtime.
This is the passion project right here. But shoot, I think we can leave it at that. Save our other thoughts for other podcasts. And we will see. Are you 10 audience members? Maybe more, maybe less.
No, bro, not people. Stop lying to the people.
Maybe more,
like, you really
maybe
trying
less.
To people.
Nah. Matter of fact, I got you right now. Sharing my...
Right now, it's like 6.
Oh, wait, I can't share my screen? That sucks. Give me a second. I have to show... Well, shoot, the video doesn't go out to this anyway. Really, it's just audio. But believe
so this whole time I've been bummed for nothing?
Yeah, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I think you look like a bum. And isn't that what really matters?
Well, I like one, so...
But I swear it's 10 people. I sound like such a nerd. Be like, oh my god, some 10 people listen to
10 people, guys!
Nah, but like legit, I appreciate people who check out our content and support, because support, while it is free, is very hard to come by. So
yeah, it's on the fact.
Go ahead.
Ain't nobody can see pretty fake nonstop.
And on that note, we're out of here, people. Catch you on
we're probably gonna go play 2K in a bit.
Probably.